Hello, everyone, and welcome to the June 16th edition of Trips and Traps. I'm Richard Migliore, joined by my main man, Ernie Munick. Ernie, a post-Belmont Trips and Traps. What a weekend of racing.
An amazing weekend of racing with so many memories, perhaps the greatest of all, Frosted's performance in the Met Mile. I was standing next to you during that race. We both couldn't believe it.
Just a jaw-dropping performance by Frosted. We were lucky to be here. One of the best performances I've ever seen by any racehorse in my lifetime.
It was incredible, and I did not see that coming by any means, Mig.
No, I don't think anybody could anticipate that kind of performance, but we are going to talk about the Belmont Stakes. But let's start off earlier on Belmont Day, and let's start with race 6, and we are looking at number 4, Summation Time. Now, these turf sprints are about trips, and I think Summation Time was unlucky. I really don't blame the rider in any way, shape, or form with this. And once we kind of get a little clearance here where we can see him, we'll circle him, and we'll start talking about him. Right in here, the Blue Silks, that is Summation Time.
And Joe Bravo.
Joe Bravo. And I think he did a really good job of easing back out of the pace and finding what I like to call that break, where you almost like have a bubble. You don't have a lot of interference or contact around you. I was happy with his position here.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because there's so much congestion near the top. You'd think if he drops back to a second flight, he'd be okay, and yet that 8 is kind of keeping him in, and there's really nowhere for him to go.
There really isn't. And the horse is eager. The horse is pulling him, so sometimes that limits your options as well because the horse is taking you to a committed position that maybe you don't want. And you can see here, he is just completely blocked, surrounded. Again, no fault of the rider. This is just a turf trip, and he's looking for room, and you're going to see for a long ways he really has no ability to let this horse go forward.
No, and you just keep an eye on Joe, who's trying to find some clearance, and when he does, something else comes upon him. Now, this is a horse who has not won in 15 months, and in a sense, and he's been running against tough turf sprinters. Now, they might run him back. Christophe might run him back against tough turf, so in a sense, it might be a trap. By the way, using the word trap before we get right back to Summation Time, I say Vulcan Forge, he says trap. I say Vulcan, he says trap. The Mig told you, we got to tell it like it is.
He was a trap. I just, and you would think going longer, but he didn't even show any speed going longer.
Nothing. And it just sort of goes to show you, Mig will say, tell you like it is. As far as Summation Time goes, Mig, if Christophe gives him some class relief,
I think a little bit easier company would definitely help. Well, they say there's no hop like the drop, right? Certainly. And I also think that 7/8 might actually be a little better for this horse. I mean, I like the way he finished, and we have to give honorable mention in this race to Green Mask, who finished right behind him. Another horse who had trouble. We chose to focus in more on Summation Time because I thought his trip was a bit more glaring. But both of these horses out of this race, Summation Time and Green Mask, work out a different trip. I think these are horses you want to follow back.
These turf sprints seem to produce trip after trip, so it's not easy kind of following them back because what happens, they run back in turf sprints.
Well, exactly. And we should also mention, great job by Christophe Comant, but how about the Generasios running 1-2 with homebreds? They do an amazing job.
Amazing. That is really incredible.
Well, let's turn the page and move right on to the 11th race, the Belmont Stakes, and we're talking about number 1, Governor Malibu, although there were other trips in here too, and we could talk about Lonnie, but I want to talk about Governor Malibu more, and he has the rail position. Joel Rosario broke cleanly, got it forward position. I thought everything was going very well for him early on in the race. It was a critical juncture later on that I think cost him a better placing. Now, I don't know if he was going to win, but it's hard to quantify how being steadied after a mile and a quarter affects a horse because they're tired at that point.
What's so interesting to me also as we watch the Gov go into that first turn with Exaggerator out there in the green is that look at these Christophe Clement horses on Belmont Stakes Day we keep talking about, how he really had his horses ready to run for this huge day.
Well, he really did, and Governor Malibu trained sensationally up to the Belmont. Every day I was out here watching horses, he was the horse that kept standing out to me, and I really think Christophe did an amazing job having him the best he could be. He was unlucky. Again, I don't blame Joel Rosario so much as, position and bad luck, and frankly, kind of, to me, riding that I can't defend by Paco Lopez.
You have to tell me why, Mig, because we see Paco on the lead right now with the hired gun, so to speak, in in Gettysburg on the lead, and his job was to go.
Yeah, but he didn't even go. I mean, he went to the lead, but he didn't set a fast pace. So, rabbits are supposed to, set a realistic pace. This was, I thought, a bit on the honest to slow side.
And you think in this case he might have been giving them the business a little bit out there?
Well, he's out on the lead. Now, you see, Governor Malibu has not vacated the position that he's been in from the start, basically about 3-4 lengths off the lead. Now, Joel has decisions to start making here. You've got Gettysburg in front of you. You have to anticipate he is going to stop. So you want to set yourself up to be able to follow what I deem live cover. To me, that looks like Destin and or Stradivari at that point. So you don't want to really get married too much to that position directly in behind Gettysburg. And you're going to see as they come further, Creator starts inching up behind him. He's looking for room, and he's the eventual winner. Now, Joel right here's got a decision to make. Do I come out and make sure I follow Destin, who is the eventual runner-up? And you can see this is where it all gets very, very crowded and critical. And this is where I thought that maybe, I'm sure Joel wished he had a do-over. But Gettysburg drifts off the rails. So it creates an inviting opening. You're going to see.
It's going to happen.
Here's Creator looking for room. He's going to start heading out. Here's Governor Malibu going to split him, but he says, wait, the rail's open. I'm going to duck into the fence. That gives room to Creator.
That's it.
Now watch Paco Lopez come back and take the ground again. Paco Lopez was not on a live horse at that point. His horse was empty, and he just took the ground for no reason whatsoever.
He should have what? Just relinquished and just let his horse fall back?
Not even relinquished. Go straight. Go straight. You don't have to make it easier for him. You don't have to give him more ground. But don't come back and take all the ground on a dead horse. To me, what did you accomplish other than stopping someone else's forward progress? Now, you see, again, critical moment. You can see Creator's searching for him to the outside. If Joel had continued to follow Destin at that point, Creator would have gotten stuck. He wouldn't have been able to come back and follow Destin. Ultimately, I think it would have cost Creator the race. Now you see where Joel had to come back out of, around Gettysburg after he had tried to go inside of him. It's easy to say from this desk that he shouldn't have tried to get through on Gettysburg. But when you're in the middle of it and the hole opens up and you're thinking, oh boy, I can get through here, I just think that at some point, Paco Lopez is going to have that revisited to him in a big race.
It's interesting. It's almost as if Erod and Creator were following the fullback, his blocker, and then he came around him.
Absolutely. He's following the fullback through the hole. That's a great way to describe it.
And I just want to say, I would think we would be remiss not to mention with that incredible, that one point at the head stretch, not the first turn, not at the far turn, but at the head stretch, when Joel decides to make, as you pointed out before we even went on the air, that was critical, no doubt about it.
That was the key moment of the race for me.
And how about Lanny's performance? How, to use your phrase, what would he have had to have been? What would he have to be to win with that middle move hung out that wide?
He would have. It would have been a mind-boggling performance. Yeah, I think, all due respect to Takataki, you don't want to bring a date to the Playboy Mansion. Okay? When we talk about the best riders in the world, well, they're right here at Belmont Park. You don't need to bring a rider here. There's plenty of talent here.
Good night and thank God. It was great. It was hilarious.
That's the best way I can describe it.
Well, I no words after that. No words. How do you top that?
All right. Well, let's move on. And we'll move on to Sunday, and we're going to look at the 6th race on Sunday. And again, a horse that was very, very unlucky. Dauphine Rousse, number 2, broke well. Jose Ortiz been riding tremendously, and he's right here in the yellow silks. I just think this horse was so unlucky. I mean, in so tight, and never really had a comfortable place to run.
No, he's really buried, and you will see the entire way. Now, as I'm watching, you mentioned earlier that maybe this horse is right for 7 furlongs. I mean, that other horse was right for 7 furlongs in summation time, and I think this might be a 7-furlong mare as well. And next time it'll be for Jason Service, so very high percentage trainer.
Who does great work, actually dead heated for the win here, and almost triple dead heated. He had the dead heated for the win and the 3rd place finish in Oza Park. But you could see Jose's looking for a place to run here, and again, a horse that's a little bit keen, kind of limits your options. options. You might want to hedge and start, peeking out. But when a horse pulls you up on heels, you're kind of committed to that place. And now you're going to see, where's he going to go? He's looking for someone to spread. And usually a hole presents itself. It never really did. Right here, it looks like he might be able to get in.
The number 2.
He is in so tight here. And he's still, you can see, he can't really let her run. You can't just bull your way out. You'll be disqualified.
Still.
Gosh, he's in so tight. Finally, very late. And even then, he can't fully ride. Dauphine Rouge was the best horse on this day. Going forward, though, Ray Charles saw this trip, right?
Yeah.
So going forward, you're probably not going to get a real solid price. And she has been a horse that's had trouble finding the winner's circle. Does she create her own bad luck, or is she just unlucky?
We'll find out. But I know next time for Jason Service, and I'm hoping 7 furlongs. The winner of that race, when we were on this show, I almost said to Maximilia, horse he was talking about, 10-1 Trips and Traps. But not from this side. I almost said you could have inferred from what I was saying when you talked about Maximilia, the horse doesn't win that often, that this is a risky Trips and Traps. Bam! You almost got the full 10-1. Well, still,
exactly. And Maximilia, a horse that I really responded to Nick Essler taking her back, somebody who had familiarity with her. But I like when you get a horse like Maximilia who pulls up or hangs on horses, put them on the lead. Because then when horses come to them, they run forward. They've already broken through the plane.
That's what he said on his show 2 weeks before the fact.
Well, let's move on. One more horse, and this is courtesy of my main man, Ernie Munick.
Sneaky.
And this horse actually ran, I think, very, very well. And we're talking about number 3, Overly Indulgent. And when we can find her here any moment, we will circle her. This horse, I thought, ran really, really well. And really, from the charts, the comments in the chart,
wouldn't know it.
And you can see right there, purple cap with like gold arms, sleeves. This horse gets shuffled back, completely out of position.
Now, is this right? What would you call this? Rank or just being in tied first?
I think Overly Indulgent was rank, and I think it made it difficult for Jose Lezcano to ride her. And again, when you get a horse that pulls you into spots, it kind of limits your options. You may want to be a little more patient and hedge, and now she just gets shuffled back. And honestly, first time on the turf, has every right you could go, well, you know what, it's over, end of the day. This horse winds up 4th. Now, a fairly well-beaten 4th.
Pretty good.
But you can see here, look where she got shuffled back to almost, second to last here. Yeah. So when the race is going forward, she's going backwards. And I, again, all these trips, I don't really blame the riders. These are just unlucky kind of trips.
Right.
And turf racing, you need a certain amount of luck.
Yeah, and once again, you're dealing with the trainer who wins at a high percentage, so it's not often that you get a pretty good price, and so you might get an okay price next time for this girl. Give Jason Service again, and you can see going to make up some ground. I understand the top 2 are a bunch ahead, but this horse may be able to close the gap next time.
Her head right in front for 4th money. A horse I definitely want back. 6 or 7, I wouldn't want to see her go any further because I do think she was keen. But this is a horse that did have a trip. Yeah, I just think if she goes a mile or better, she's going to be too rank and use herself too much.
Very interesting. And, it's getting in that in-between distance, and maybe that's where the 7 can come in handy.
Well, another interesting edition of Trips and Traps.
Always.
What did we learn today?
Well, I learned that I don't know who to bring to the Playboy Mansion. That's all I'm thinking about. My day is complete.
We can use your help. Trips and Traps at NYRAInc.com.